In a quiet village where life moved slowly and peace was valued more than wealth, there stood an old house at the center, and in front of it, a large mango tree that had become the heart of the village. During summers, the tree would be filled with sweet mangoes, spreading their fragrance across the fields, while children played under its shade. Elders gathered for conversations, and travelers rested beneath its branches. But this tree was more than just a source of fruit. It carried a story, a deep and emotional one, connected to an old man named Haji Abdul Rahman, whom everyone lovingly called Babaji. Every single day, from morning till evening, Babaji would sit under that tree, quietly watching it as if it were a part of his soul. When people asked him why he spent so much time there, he would simply smile and say, "This tree is my life," though no one truly understood what he meant. Many years ago, when Babaji was young, he had nothing, no land, no wealth, and no support, only a dream to build something meaningful in his life. One day, while returning from the city, he found a small discarded mango plant lying by the roadside. While others saw it as useless, he saw potential. Ignoring the laughter of people around him, he brought it home and planted it in front of his house. Every day he cared for it, watering it, protecting it from harsh sunlight, and nurturing it with patience and hope. People mocked him for putting so much effort into a small plant, but he never stopped. Years passed, and that tiny plant slowly grew into a magnificent tree, offering shade, comfort, and fruit to everyone in the village. What made it even more special was that Babaji never ate a single mango from it. Instead, he gave all the fruit to others, children, travelers, and neighbors, because he believed that he had planted the tree not for himself but for others. As time went on, Babaji grew old, his body weak but his connection to the tree stronger than ever. However, one day a wealthy businessman from the city arrived in the village with plans to build a factory. At first, the villagers were excited, thinking it would bring jobs and prosperity. But their excitement faded when they learned that the factory would be built on the exact spot where the mango tree stood. The businessman declared that the tree would have to be cut down. The entire village fell silent, unsure of what to do. Babaji, sitting under the tree, said nothing at first, but his eyes filled with tears because for him this was not just a tree, it was his life, his journey, and his purpose. The next day, machines arrived and workers prepared to cut the tree. Villagers gathered to watch, helpless and confused. As a worker raised his axe, Babaji slowly stood up, his weak body trembling but his voice strong for the first time in years. "Stop," he said firmly. Everyone turned toward him. With tears in his eyes, he began to speak, not with anger but with truth. He told them how he had planted the tree when he had nothing, how he had cared for it for years without expecting anything in return, and how it had given life, shade, and happiness to the entire village. He reminded them that progress was important, but not at the cost of losing something that brought people together. His words touched everyone's hearts. The villagers realized that this tree was not just wood and leaves, it was a symbol of selflessness, patience, and love. Moved by his words, the villagers stood together and refused to let the tree be cut. Even the businessman, seeing their unity and understanding the emotional value of the tree, changed his decision and chose another place for his factory. The mango tree was saved. Babaji sat back under its shade, a gentle smile on his face, knowing that his life's work had not been in vain. Years later, when Babaji was no longer alive, the tree still stood tall, continuing to give shade and fruit to others. People in the village would tell their children the story of the old man who planted a tree not for himself, but for future generations. And through that tree, his legacy lived on. Because sometimes the greatest success in life is not what we take for ourselves, but what we leave behind for others.